The fourth generation Jeep Cherokee, coded WK2, was first seen at the 2009 New York Auto Show before going on sale in the summer of 2010 as a 2011 year model. This generation Grand Cherokee was the first to feature independent suspension for all four wheels, and the WK2 platform was later used by Mercedes in the ML and GLE class models. Over the decade-long production of the 4th Gen Jeep Cherokee, it was sold across several established markets including North America, Europe and Australia, with the USA market by far the most popular for the vehicle, with the peak of 242,969 units sold in 2019. The Canadian and European market was equal for units sold in the early years, but after 2017, the Canadian market began to outsell the whole of Europe, although both markets figure a distant second, the USA. 3 engines remained available for the entire decade that the 4th generation Grand Cherokee was on sale. 2 petrol or gas engines, as they would be referred to in their main home market, are the Penstar 3.6 litre powered V6 and a 5.7 litre Hemi V8. A 3 litre CRD V6 diesel engine was available across the life of the Jeep in the world markets and was sold in 2 forms in the USA. First as a lower powered model to meet emissions standards, and then from 2014 the more powerful world market diesel motor was sold in the USA in limited, Overland and Summit models. For the model year 2022, the WK2 Grand Cherokee was sold alongside the 5th generation WL model Grand Cherokee as a 3.6 litre V6 only, in 3 trim levels, essentially base, middle and high. This continued after the production had stopped, as inventory remained at dealers and factories for extended periods. This is not the first time this has happened in the larger group that Jeep is within. The previous generation Dodge Ram also carried on for a while when the new model had arrived in showrooms and was sold as a classic model. Before we move on to the common faults and the motors, we should note that the wide range of trims available on this generation Grand Cherokee. The 3.6 Laredo trims are the entry models, with Altitude and Limited popular among buyers for their additional equipment and styling. Trailhawk, not to be confused with Trackhawk, along with Overland and Summit models, are popular on the used market. The fastest model started as the SRT and SRT8, but the Trackhawk is probably going to remain the wildest ever made, as future models will be much more concerned with fuel economy, electrification and emissions to stuff in a supercharged V8 churning out 707 horsepower. First, we have the common faults that you should look out for, no matter what age or specification WK2 Grand Cherokee you're looking at. Defective window regulators will stop power windows from moving up and down. Check all 4 to make sure they function without hesitation. Alternator failures are something to watch out for. Listen to the engine while it is running to see if the alternator makes any strained noises, and if you smell any electrical burning scent, then the alternator is probably about to give up. Early models can suffer delamination of the leather interior trim and start to wrinkle. A module named TPIM was issued for a recall after a lawsuit against Jeep for early models suffering from a failed module. This affects 2011 models worse, but the problem ran until 2015 model year. Check the service book for any sign of recall work, although it's safe to say that most of these would now have the issue resolved. If you view a car and the windshield wipers don't function, you may need a new TPIM unit. If the model you are looking at is fitted with air suspension, which is standard on the Overland, Summit and Trackhawk trims, check that it functions in the lowest and highest position before purchase. These systems are fairly robust, but a failure can be expensive to fix. Rear lower control arms were recalled and replaced by Jeep in 2015. Check service records to see if the one you are looking at has had this issue resolved. Later models are unaffected. Faulty brake boosters were reported on early models. Check that the pedal feel is direct and consistent on a test drive. There is a specific issue with the 8-speed transmission in 2014 to 2017 models equipped with a 3.6 litre engine suffering premature failure. On a test drive, if you feel the car bump down the gears during deceleration and hard shift that makes the whole vehicle jerk, the transmission is likely in need of repair. The problem appears to be resolved in 2018 with a shift to an uprated version of the 8-speed gearbox. If we've missed any other general issues, please add them in the comments below to help others in their search for a used Grand Cherokee. We should note that on this generation the Grand Cherokee suffered a high number of complaints in early models. Jeep appeared to have learnt their lessons through the model years, with the later ones receiving fewer reliability complaints. On the plus side, older cars that have had well-informed enthusiast owners are likely to still be a good used buy, and prices for them are slightly depressed due to the large amounts of negative publicity from popular YouTubers and automotive media saying run, don't walk from this generation Jeep. Before we go on to the motors, we want to say a big thank you to all of our subscribers. If you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so, and if you enjoy the video, then liking really helps spread it to a wider audience, helping those looking to buy themselves a Grand Cherokee. We'll start with the smallest engine, which is a turbocharged 3-litre V6 diesel, and work our way up from there. Note that all figures for miles per gallon in this video are being given in US measurements rather than traditional imperial, due to the dominance of the US market for this car. The 3-litre V6 engine, named CRD, produces 240 brake horsepower on the world market from release of the 4th generation model. America is first offered a 188 brake horsepower version until matching the rest of the world in 2014. Miles per gallon is rated at 25 city and 30 highway. The 3-litre diesel is seen as a robust unit, and many owners consider it to be one of the strongest engines in the lineup, with good durability. Issues to look out for include a failed catalytic converter that can suffer due to faulty NOx sensors not being replaced once they fail, so look out for any engine lights referring to the sensor. Regular coolant changes are also vital to maintain the vehicle's overall reliability, as it is susceptible to high heat if part of the cooling system is not functioning properly. A side note for the CRD diesel engine is that oil changes can be quite messy due to the location of the sump plug and the angle of the oil leaving as it exits. Some owners that regularly change the oil themselves extract oil from the top of the engine first and then drain the remainder from the sump to make the job a little cleaner. The 3.6-litre V6 is the most common engine in the Grand Cherokee, producing 295 brake horsepower with an average of 18 miles per gallon city and 24 miles per gallon highway. Being the most common engine, there are several of these that have done over 200,000 miles with just regular maintenance. It is again considered a dependable motor, although oil cooler problems resulting in a replacement part and leaks from the oil filter housing should be looked out for after a test drive. Engine codes for misfires can be a fault that actually needs a new cylinder head to resolve the issue. Jeep dealers and specialists are aware of this issue, and so worth speaking to if you see an engine light. The motor was revised in 2016. Overall, the 3.6 is hard to fault, although it can be a little slow at low revs, so if you're used to having some power in reserve ready to go at all times, the 5.7 Hemi may be a better choice. The 5.7 creates 360 brake horsepower and averages 16 miles per gallon in the city and 21 miles per gallon on the highway. If buying a 2013 to 2017 model, check to see if it has had a replacement water pump, and if there is no evidence of it being replaced, then budget to get one as preventative maintenance. Maintenance records are important on the 5.7. Some owners skip things like brake fluid changes or spark plugs to save money, and these can lead to reliability problems or poor performance issues. Finally, check there isn't any strong smell from the exhaust, along with poor fuel economy. This is likely due to a crack around the piping leading to or from the catalytic converter. The 6.4 Hemi in the SRT and SRT8 creates 470 brake horsepower and scores a slightly higher average fuel rating of 17 miles per gallon city compared to the 16 of the 5.7. Highway is quoted at the same 21 miles per gallon. The two most important things to look out for are hard shifting from the gearbox on test drive and poor running caused by faulty lifters, which can lead to further faults and catastrophic engine failure. However, it should be noted the 6.4 is not as common, and so reports from a small number of owners can skew the overall reliability of the engine. The trouble is that as a sportier model, it is likely to have been driven harder than the rest of the range, as it is designed to be, and with proper maintenance, issues can be kept from arising. If the owner is the type to keep a folder with service paperwork in date order and receipts for everything from a major service to a plastic clip, then you can be a bit more confident in your purchase. If you roll up to Barry's Used Auto Centre in the middle of Broken Asphalt Alley and see a paint-chipped example with 4 bald tyres, a receipt for a single windscreen wiper from 6 years ago, and a wide-grin salesman standing in the way of a dent caused by an ex-owner's extramarital affair, then you may want to consider if that example is one of your better life choices. Finally, the car that at the time of launch claimed the most powerful SUV title, the 6.2-litre Supercharged Trackhawk. It has 707 brake horsepower with a generous official MPG figure of 15 city and 18 highway. This is the model that has had more than enough said about it in the press and by YouTubers for us to add anything new. Look out on test drive to see if the engine stalls at any speed. Outside of that, the issues you're likely to face are more related to previous owner treatment. Specialists or full dealer history is strongly advised, unless you find receipts for a well-respected tuner of the 6.2 supercharged motor, as it is fitted to an array of high-powered Dodge vehicles, and so some tuners know these motors inside out and are well equipped to do maintenance work on them. As ever, we have split our picks into two, and although we know some markets may only have the diesel as an engine option, so we'll say first off that the CRD is a great choice. However, for our two picks, the budget choice would be a 3.6 litre V6, preferably with full history, even if that means taking one that has slightly higher mileage. For our high budget option, we would love to say the Trackhawk, but as the propensity for drag strips by the first owner makes them a bit of a mix of fortunes for used car buyers, we're going to say a well-kept SRT8 that is eligible for extended warranty or possibly still within its original manufacturer's warranty period would be our pick. We hope you've enjoyed the video. If so, adding a like is greatly appreciated, and until next time, take care.